11.4, this is the last lesson of the chapter. So after we're done with the lesson today, I'm going to have you turn in your notes if you have it all filled in. This lesson specifically is on population density. So just write population density. And population density is how many people are in a given area, like the average number of people per given area. This is something that is used in real life for, of course, like city planning. It's also used for animals as well when they're trying to like predict how many animals are in a larger space. They'll find the population density in a smaller space, and then they can apply that to a larger space to figure out how many animals are in a given area. So there is an equation for this. Population density, we'll just call this PD, so that way we can write out the equation pretty easy. Population density equals number of people. And then for this lesson, we're going to abbreviate people, PPL. That way we don't have to write people every single time. Over the area of land. So often this is square miles. It could also be square kilometers. It could be acres. So area of land goes on the bottom. Okay, so this is the equation we're going to use for all the problems. So for number 1, it says the state of Kansas has a population of about 2.85 million people. Find the population density in people per square mile. So again, population density equals people for the area. So this is going to be square miles. Square miles. Okay, people per square mile. So when we set up the numbers in the equation, population density equals 2.85 million people. We're going to write that out with all the zeros so that way we can plug it into a calculator. So this would be 285,000,000. So it would look like this. 2.85 million would look like this. And then we're going to put that over the area of the state, which they gave us the dimensions of the state. They didn't give us the area, but area of a rectangle is length times width. So area equals 210 times 400, which is 84,000. Okay, and if you were to divide these two numbers, the population density is 34 people, again we're abbreviating, per square mile. We are going to repeat this process for the problems. Of course, every problem will be a little bit different. They'll bring in different aspects. The next one talks about the national park system. Like I mentioned, this can be used to calculate the density of animals as well. So Yellowstone National Park has an area of about 2.22 million acres. So writing that out as a number, 2,220,000. Sometimes you have to play with the zeros until you get everything in the right place, but that's 2,220,000 acres. So that would be the area. The table shows the estimated park populations for several animals. Find the population density in animals per acre. So animals per acre, that is your ratio right there. The per would be like the division symbol. So animals, for example, grizzly bear, you would do 728 over the 2220. Okay, so 2,220,000 acres. Save animals over the acres. You would divide this out. It comes out to a very small decimal of 0.0003. So this answer right here, 0.0003. So this many grizzly bears per acre. And then we're going to do that for all of them. I'm not going to write it all out, but essentially I'm just dividing each one of these by the space, the area. So if you did 20,000 divided by this, you would get 0.009. If you did 1,900 divided by this number, it would come out to 0.0009. And then over here, 0.0002. Okay. Now the next one. about 210,000 people lived in a circular region with a 12-mile radius. 12 miles. Okay, circular region, 12-mile radius, find the population density. So population density would be equal to the number of people over the area. So the number of people is 210,000. We need to find the area of this space. They only gave us the radius, so then we have to do area equals pi r squared. So area equals pi 12 squared. Pi times 144 comes out to 452.39. And then if you divide this, it comes out to 464 people per square mile, or mile squared. Okay. The next one is very similar to this, so we're going to just repeat those steps. It says about 650,000 people now. Circular region, here's our circle, has a 6-mile radius now. So area of this, pi r squared, 36 pi, which comes out to 113.097. And then if you divide this out, you get the number 5747.28 people per mile. That was so loud. Mile squared. Obviously you can't have like 0.28 people, so a lot of times they'll round to the nearest whole number. Okay, next problem, number 5. A town with a population of 80,250 people has 500 city blocks. Each block is 1/10 a mile long and 1/10 a mile wide. So each block is 1/10 a mile long, 1/10 a mile wide. Find the population density of the town in people per square mile. So they don't want per block, they want it per square mile. Okay, so we got people, 80,250. We need to divide by the area. Okay, so each block, the length and width is 1/10. So to find the area of each block, we would do 1/10 times 1/10. So the area of each block is 1 over 100 miles squared. So 1/100th of a mile. Then there's 500 blocks. So 500 blocks times, each one has an area of 1 over 100, like 1/100th of a mile. Then we get 500 over 100, so equals 5 square miles. Okay, so the area of these 500 city blocks is 5 square miles. This is the number of people. And then we can divide those two numbers to get 16,050 people per mile squared. Okay, we're not going to do number 6, we're going to go over to number 7. Okay, number 7. For number 7 and 8, we're not solving for population density. Now we're going to use the equation backwards to solve for other things. Yeah, I'll just...
I found this on the web.
Thanks, appreciate it, but we don't need you right now. Okay, so for this one, it says to find radius, which we could find, but all the ones on your homework are going to ask you for maybe area. Like, it's not going to go down to radius. So we'll practice it finding area. So it says about 79,000 people live in a circular region with a population density of 513 per square mile. So population density equals number of people over the the area. So here it's saying the population density is 513 people per square mile, people per mile squared, equals 79,000 people. That's what it people over, and we're finding the area. So this is going to be our x. Okay, so what we need to do is solve this for x. First thing would be to multiply both sides by x. And then divide both sides by 513. And x equals 153.996. So the area is 154 miles squared. And then, of course, if this was FSA or something and they did want you to find the radius, you would just set this area equal to the formula for a circle, and you could work backwards to find radius. Okay, and then the next one, number 8, same type of problem. We're going to find instead of radius, we're going to find area. 1.15 million people live in a circular region with a population density of this many. So population density is this, people per mile squared, equals 1.15 million would look like this over x, the area. So for some of the problems on your homework, they might give you the number of people, or they might give you the area, and then you have to solve for the number of people. So you just plug in your numbers and then just solve for whatever's missing. In this case, multiply both sides by x. Then divide both sides, and we get x equals 63.6 kilometers squared. And we're going to do one on the back too. Okay, on the back here, number 10, it says the two islands shown below with the given areas have the same population. Which one has the greater population density? So the one with the greater population density, like if it had the same amount of people, so let's say this had 1 million people and this had 1 million people, the one that would have the greater population density would be the smaller one because the people would be more condensed in that smaller area. So this one has a greater population density and this one has a less population density. Okay, and then there is one or two more concepts I want to go over. These concepts probably came up in science, so they should be familiar, but you need to know them for the problems that you might get on your homework. One is that sometimes the numbers won't say like 1.2 million. Instead, they'll say something like this. They'll say 1.7 times 10 to the 6th power. Have you seen a number like that before? Okay, so what you do in this case when you have a number like this, to figure out what the actual number is so you could like plug it in the calculator with all the zeros, is you'd take the decimal and move it over 6 times. So you'd move it over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then put a decimal, and then fill in zeros in all those places. And then you get 1,700,000, like that. So that's how you do that. Then another thing that is in this lesson is it tells you to write the number to 3 significant figures. Does this sound familiar? Okay, so here's what this looks like. If you had a number like this, okay, so let's say you had a number like this. Three significant figures would be these first three numbers. So the way you would write this is you'd say, okay, this is 1.74 billion. Or you could say 1.74 times 10 raised to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like that. But notice how this 3 is rounded up to 4, so that is important there. Okay, so at this point you can get a computer. I still need to load the questions on the homework, so that might take me a second, but it should be up there in a second.